Welcome to Local SEO in 10. This is your go-to podcast for answers about how you can grow your local business online, easily and quickly. Brought to you by local SEO experts, Magnified Media in Walnut Creek, California. In each 10-minute episode, our digital marketing expert, Adam Duran, answers your questions on how you can get more leads for your business fast. Remember, if you're not taking care of this part of your business right now, you can bet your competitors are. And now, here's our host with the questions, Jamie Duran, and our expert with the answers, Adam Duran.
Hello, Adam.
Hey, Jamie.
All right. How's your week going?
It's going good. Always great. Woo!
Always. I can't always be great. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Good progress. All that stuff.
I'm blessed. Always great.
Well, good.
All right. Today I have a great episode, Jamie. I know you've waited your whole week to hear that sentence. All right. So most business owners, they do not realize that just because a page is on their website, they've created a great page, it doesn't mean that page will ever show up on Google. So say, for example, you have a service or a city page, and that page is not indexed by Google. Effectively, they're invisible. Nobody will see them. So today we're going to walk you through how indexing works, how to check your pages, and then how to get them indexed so that they do rank on Google the right way. Okay. And so by the end of this, you're going to know how to do all of that, and your pages will get indexed accordingly and bring in business. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. There are some shady shortcuts that you might be tempted to try and take advantage of. They're all paid solutions, of course. I would not recommend any of them just because those kind of things can backfire and hurt your business. So today we'll go through the right way to do things, the acceptable way to do things that will not risk that. Okay?
Ready.
All right. So basically what indexing on Google means that page, that robot that scans the internet, it comes to your website and then it scans each of your pages. Now, you would think, hey, my website, it's whatever, 25 pages. Google should easily be able to just index all of those. Well, that's not what happens. So unfortunately, many times, if your website has a new page, Google doesn't even know it. So if it's not properly linked, if it's full of only photos, for example, or just one large image, most likely that kind of content won't be indexed. Okay, so make sure that when you're creating a page, I don't know if you've ever worked with a graphic designer, Jamie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times they butt heads with the SEO people. They have a graphic designer on staff, or they bring in and they want to create this big, beautiful image or a page with only images. And then we have to discuss with them, how is that page going to rank? So if it's a page full of images, most likely it's not going to rank. And that's just because Google does not find that valuable. What happens is, if you go to that page, people see those pictures and then they go off of it. So quickly, Google loves to see how long people will be on that page. That's how they judge the value of that page, or one of the value judgments that's made about that page. So if you want people to actually come to the page, it can't just be one giant image or a page with very little text. That's called thin content. Okay?
All right.
All right. So what you're going to do to check to see if your pages have been indexed, you can try and search for the title of that page on Google. Just copy and paste it, maybe put it in quotes. So that way Google will come back, the results will come back and you'll see that page. That's probably the fastest way. Another way you can go is type in the word site, S-I-T-E, put a colon after it, put the URL of that page after that, press return, and then you can see if Google has indexed it. That's another way you can do it. Another way, the way that I actually like to do, is going to something called Google Search Console. So Google Search Console is something that you're going to have to connect your website to. And so your website designer can definitely help. But you're going to log in there and you can just go to, they have a URL inspection tool. You drop the link in there. It takes a couple seconds and then it'll come back with the result, which is this page was indexed, green light, or this page was not indexed. And that not indexed can be pretty shocking, especially if you've put a lot of effort into that page. Okay. So,
yep. Makes sense.
All right. So why pages are not indexed? So obviously, like I said, it could be thin content. It could not be correctly linked. That means on your big pages of your site, there's no links to that page, like your home page or your main service pages. It could get, for some reason, when some designers, they put up a new page, they block indexing. Maybe they're developing that page while it's live, and so they don't want it to be crawled, and they just forgot to unblock it. These are the kind of things that happen. Maybe that page was just put up a couple days ago. Those are all the things that can limit that page being indexed. But the number one culprit we always see is it's thin content or duplicate content, right? So they think having the exact same information on a different page with just a few words changed, you'll be able to rank. And no, that won't happen. So it's not a good idea. So if you're going to make cities, like in our past episodes, we talked about city specific pages, you have to have different content and it has to be unique. You can have, there's a rough estimate, 20% the same. So like testimonials or whatever, but 80% unique. So that does make it a little more challenging, but it also ensures that that page is not considered thin or duplicate content. So make sure that those are how you make sure that when you take care of those things, it helps that page get indexed. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So in order to get those pages indexed the right way, like I said, you can go to that URL inspection tool in Google Search Console. That's the fastest way to do it. You can drop that link to that page in that tool. It'll come back saying, hey, this is not indexed. And then you can just click on a button right next to it to request indexing.
Oh,
and it'll go. Yeah, it'll go. It'll give you about 45 seconds or a minute wait. And then it'll say, okay, it will be indexed. So it'll be put into a queue. Now, unfortunately, we are limited to doing that request indexing to about 10 URLs per 24 hours. So this is okay for a single business owner, but for like an agency like ours, yeah, that can be really limiting, that 10. So that budget, that crawl budget, yeah, we have to be aware of that. Okay, so sometimes we have clients whose sites we take on, and they have hundreds of pages that are never indexed because they were never done correctly, like I said. And so we have to fix those pages and then go through this whole process. And yeah, it can be a very long process because of that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. and this is all, all content that maybe another agency created. And then we are tasked now with trying to fix those problems. And sometimes we can't, right? If that content is too thin, then what we can do is, delete that page and then put in some redirects, basically thin down our pages so that way they are more valuable. So because if there's too many of these fluff pages that Google is not indexing, there's a reason. And so that means our content, when we produce it, it's great content, but if Google has learned that this site is not really that trustworthy and doesn't put out great content, we have to reverse that. We have to say, hey, no, this is great. So how we do that is, indexing good pages and then removing bad pages. Whew. Good? So far?
Yeah. So once it's indexed and Google says, okay, you're good, what kind of results can someone expect?
Well, so if it's, for example, say it's a city page plus your service, like plumbing in San Francisco, probably that's a very competitive word. Those are some pretty competitive keywords. As long as you make that page really, really, really powerful, right? So you're answering every question somebody could have about that service in San Francisco. You're doing an FAQ. You're putting stuff on that page that people find valuable, like maybe a video explaining how to choose a plumber. You're basically making that page very important and valuable to a potential customer. Then it can rank within a day or two, and it can outrank pages that have been there for years pretty easily. So Google does give you a chance at that beginning, that freshness of that content. Yeah, it's important. It's a big ranking factor. That being said, if you have a page that is ranking and you see, hey, it's not there anymore, you have to think about why that might be. So usually it's thin content, it's duplicate content. So you can go back and add an FAQ to it. You can add things to that page that was ranking to help it rank better later on. So, and then just request that indexing once you've made those changes. And you can regain those rankings. It is a competition, right? So make sure that when you do one of those pages, you are creating it so that it is a converter, meaning it's just not about only that service, but has calls to action in there, a lot of them. It has testimonials that help that call to action work. It's not just a page with photographs or a gallery or something like that. You want to make sure that it is a converting page. So having those, like I said, calls to action and reputation markers, everything that a good landing page should have, make sure it has that.
All right. Well,
there you go. So thin content is the enemy. The age of putting 500 words on a page and expecting it to outrank competition is crazy town. Also, it doesn't work anymore. So if you have somebody who is, just pumping out 700 word articles that, or service pages or anything like that, just understand even if it's indexed, it probably won't rank. And if it does rank, it won't rank for long. It's just, that's the nature of this business. It has to be robust and useful.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it sounds very useful and something anyone can check anytime with the Google console. And I'm sure you'll have some information in that in the show notes.
If Google doesn't index it, it doesn't exist. So that effort was wasted. So that's the number one takeaway. If that page that you spent time, money, and effort on isn't indexed, no one will ever see it. That's the long and the short of it. Thanks, Jamie.
Well, thank you, Adam. That's very, very useful. If you know another business owner out there that might be struggling with their search engine optimization, make sure to send them this podcast. And like and subscribe to it. There's always something going on. And if you have a question about this podcast or any of the others, go to our website, magnifiedmedia.net, click on the podcast button, and then go ahead and put in that search term of whatever you're looking for, indexing, for example. And there would probably be 2 or 3 podcasts at least on that topic. And if not, go to our LinkedIn or Facebook page, Local SEO in 10. Send us a message and we'll try to get to that question in a upcoming episode. And if you did enjoy this podcast, make sure to like and subscribe and give us 5 stars wherever you are listening to it. And then make sure to share this out to if you're in a networking group or a chamber of commerce, because chances are there are other people that are struggling and would love this information as well. So with that, we will talk to you next week. And thanks very much, Adam.
That's all for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of Local SEO in 10 with Google local marketing expert Adam Duran. Join us each week for answers to your questions on how to best harness the power of the internet to grow your business. Speaking of questions, got some? Message us through our Facebook page, Local SEO in 10, and we'll be sure to give you your answer on an upcoming episode. This episode of Local SEO in 10 is brought to you by Magnified Media, the leading online marketing agency in Northern California, who invite you to grow your business by magnifying your online visibility and credibility. Visit them on the web at www.magnifiedmedia.com. Magnify your business, magnify your profits.